otherwise just missed your call.
Oh, no way. The machine went off me quickly. This worked perfectly.
Sweet.
It worked absolutely dream. So my first question is, have you been to New Brunswick before?
No.
Oh.
Never.
Never been?
I Googled it, like, as soon as, like, I got asked to do the festival. I Googled New Brunswick, and I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. Like, what a nice fucking place. I can't wait to go. And then I Googled New Brunswick in February. And I was like, oh, this is the difference. I'm going to need a new jacket.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot more than a new jacket. You're going to need, like, snowshoes just to walk to the venues.
Yeah. God damn it.
That's funny. And it's a funny thing. I mean, obviously, for me, moving to New Brunswick, I didn't have any of the kind of preconceived ideas of what the place was. But generally in Canada, it traditionally hasn't had the best reputation. But yet, when people come here, they're kind of pleasantly surprised.
I haven't been to I didn't even go to another province until this year. Like, I was just in BC, but then I've been to Calgary and then and Winnipeg and Ontario and then New Brunswick. So I'm just getting a grasp on the country now. So I have no prejudgments.
Amazing.
Nobody's talked shit about anything to me. So I'm open to every province.
That's great. So yeah, the only negative that you've heard is that we can get brutal winters here, which is kind of known, and it's kind of, I mean, most of Canada does. But I mean, the thing that the New Brunswick level of winter, it's a whole different level. Like, do you ever have to shovel your roof in Vancouver?
Yeah, you do, but it's nothing. I would be like, yeah, we do, but it's probably nothing compared to 4 feet of snow. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have in Vancouver, not really, because it's so close to the ocean that it'll just rain and it's pretty warm. But if you're like in the lower mainland, it'll snow quite a bit. So, but nothing intense.
Yeah, because here it's like people get snowed in, and then I mean my kitchen ceiling started leaking. And I'm like, why is my ceiling leaking? And everyone said, well, haven't you shoveled your roof lately? And I'm like, I've never heard of shoveling roofs. Like, in England, that wouldn't be a thing. I mean, in England, we can't cope with anything. If we get a bit of dusting of snow on the ground, the whole country shuts down. But
that's a bit like Vancouver.
Right.
You're like, oh, I can't. A snow day is more like a slush day. You guys are really having snow days out there.
That's nice. And are you so obviously this is your first time coming here. Are you looking forward to the festival? And what are you looking forward to doing while you're in Moncton?
I don't even know what to do. Oh. I guess just like find a nice blanket.
Yeah. That is rock and roll right there.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, the East Coast is kind of famed for showing people a good time, and obviously the Hubcap Comedy Festival is obviously no exception to that. And I think almost because of the time of year that the festival happens, the local spirit. I mean, again, in New Brunswick, everyone looks forward to Hubcap. It's like it's the big comedy event of the year. And people are traveling from all over the province to come to it. But it kind of means that everyone wants to, like, the reason you don't even need to find a blanket, people will be putting blankets on you. Like, it's that level of friendliness, right? You're going to be well looked after.
That's good. I'm excited. I mean, do people have an accent?
That's a good question. Well, there's a French accent. Obviously,
okay.
because it's the bilingual province, so there's a French accent. But that's a good question. There are different accents. I mean, nothing like what in England. If you live 5 minutes away from someone, you could have a different accent. So I mean, to me, all Canadians sound the same, and I realise that those words are intrinsically racist, but that's a fact, and I can't help it.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have an accent, but so.
Yeah. I mean, because to me, it's like there's a North American accent.
Yeah.
Like to you, I have an accent, and to me, you have an accent.
Oh, you don't. I don't.
Oh, no?
You don't have an accent.
But you don't. I've got a British accent.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, you definitely sound different.
Well, I tell you what, maybe 4 years living here has given me a New Brunswick or Canadian accent. So, because that's amazing. Yeah. Because I get picked up on, people always think I'm Australian. That's the weird one I get.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I thought you were British, but I could see how people make that mistake. People don't know. Or New Zealand, probably, I bet you get sometime.
Yeah, exactly. People don't know. It's and do you find when you perform in different places, like you came up through the Vancouver comedy circuit, do you have to adapt your act at all when you're traveling around the country?
No.
No.
I've never changed.
No.
I've never changed how I've done stand up, like for where I've been. I mean, I get anxious like sometimes. Like I was just like whenever I'm doing like stand up in the States, I have like an anxiety like, oh, is my Canadian humor not going to work here? But then it's like, and then it's fine. It's just like a weird head thing.
Yeah.
But I think I'm pretty just myself, and then people either like it or they don't like it, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I mean, funny is funny, right? And it's a weird head game that we play on ourselves when we're traveling to a different place and we think, well, will this work here? And of course, ultimately, once you're in the confines of a comedy club, it's the same thing everywhere. There's no different. Funny is funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one thing that's nice about it is because you could do a job like, I mean, the garbage men do their job differently here than they do in Toronto. But I mean, like comedy is just like the same. There's just a nice through line.
It's true. And one of the things that just not the thing. Yeah. One of the things I love so much about your act is that, it is unique. It's not, you're not doing, none of it's obvious. And I mean, I love, I've watched many times the set that, you obviously won Comedian of the Year, and congratulations. That's an amazing feat. And that set is just, magical.
That's funny to be Comedian of the Year.
What's that?
Comedian of the Year.
Yeah. That's what it is.
I guess it is, but it's funny to hear because I'm like that's such a stupid thing to be called.
I renamed the competition, but is Comedian of the Year any less stupid than Top Comic?
Well, I'm excited to be Comedian of the Year, and I'm just gonna. Hopefully, next year I'm also a comedian.
Yeah. This year I would mostly be a comedian.
Yeah.
And what I love about your act is that it is unique. No one can say, oh, you're doing a thing that's a bit like so and so, or that's kind of observational like so and so. Like it's completely you. It's intrinsically you, and it's unique. And it's also not like I love how it starts. Like when you start with the puzzle story, like you're going there, and you know that the audience are going to take some time to catch up. Like that but you're confident in the thing. Like it's not like a come out and like hit them with something really obvious. It's like I know where I'm going with this, and you're gonna get it, but I'm gonna be patient.
Yeah. Oh, that set. Okay. Yeah, I know what set you're talking about. Yeah. That was from the quarterfinals.
Right.
Yeah, that's from the quarterfinal. Yeah, that set I was like actually during that set because I can remember that one because I was like, oh man, I didn't get a laugh right away. But I was like, so in my head, I was having this internal monologue of like, do I rush for the laugh or do I wait? And I was like, nah, you should just wait. Yeah, usually when that's happening, where like sometimes because the crowd will like click with you immediately.
Yeah. And
that's always nice. Yeah. But I think it almost helps your set better where they have to catch up to you.
I agree. You feel like you've worked for it.
Yeah.
And when they get there, they're way more appreciative because they've come on a journey and they've learned. Like it's like you've come out there and made this out there statement, and they're like, well, it's not even out there. I mean, it's out there in the fact that it's not. You know what I mean? And you hit them with it, and it's like, and they're kind of like, oh, what do we do with this information? And then suddenly they click in. It's like, oh, this is where we're going with this. And then once you got them, they're just in love with you. I think it's a really, really fascinating. It's like a masterclass in as you say, owning it. And as you say, I mean, it would have been such a mistake to think I'm going to rush this.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm a pretty young comedian in terms of time doing it, but I think that's like a mistake that a lot of people make is like is not being okay with the silence. It's what everybody tells you. They're like, you have to be okay with silence. Like, just be okay with it. And
that's it.
I think once you just kind of silence is a good thing.
Mm. Yeah, because as soon as the second we panic up there, it's over. Like you are never going to win people back because I mean, panic. Like, we can hide our internal monologues, but we can't hide a look of panic in our faces.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's better to be comfy.
Yeah, exactly, right? And
like,
go ahead, sorry, yeah.
A hoodie. That's why I always wear hoodies, is because it's comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nice. Look, see, we didn't do a costume swap piece of advice, but we both came to sit in separate rooms on opposite sides of the country, both wearing hoodies. That was meant to be.
Man, it's I only wear hoodies on stage. If I ever don't have a hoodie on stage, I bomb.
Really? It's interesting how
it's a head thing.
Yeah, it is a head thing. What other things like that do you have? Do you have any other things like that? Like certain songs you need to come out to? Like, what are the other? I mean, I do, little touch the top of a bottle of water 3 times, all those little OCD type things. But what other things do you have like that?
I always wear a hoodie. I always pour out like a third of the water bottle.
Right.
Because I'm worried it would spill.
Yeah.
I kind of do it like methodically.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about it, I don't listen to music. I never get brought up to music, but when I do, I try to listen to jazz like during the day. I listen to a lot of jazz now. I think that's just the music I like.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, and they say comedy's not like jazz, and it's all of those rhythms, and it's writing certain things and going on paths. Like, there's a lot of similarities between jazz and stand-up. Yeah. And you mentioned, so you've quite used it. How long have you been doing stand-up for?
My first set was March 1st, 2014.
Wow, that's amazing. And already Comedian of the Year. There we go, exactly. But that's and what was it that because obviously I'm assuming it was something you dreamed about doing for some time. What was it that finally gave you that impetus and push to do your first set?
Well, yeah, you always think about it, and like obviously was very interested in it, in my teenage years, and but I didn't know you could just do it.
Right.
I didn't know open mics existed.
Right.
It's never in a comedy special that I watched where they like, I've been open mics, you should go. Nobody was like saying that.
Yeah.
So then when I went to film school. I was going to film school after high school, and these people went to open mic, and I just went with them and watched. And then they had at the same place they had an open mic the next day, so I just went back the next day and I did it. And that was March 1st, 2014, and I just did it ever since.
Wow. And how did it go that first set?
There's 3 people there.
Mm.
I was doing like characters, but I would be like, this guy's here, that kind of thing. So it was very green. I did have one joke that worked that I used actually for a while, but yeah. You know how that first set is. You could probably still remember yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because all it takes is for one person to smile or laugh, or it's just that it's that bug, isn't it? It's that thing, and it's just that gulf of difference between being on a stage and a stranger laughing to being at a dinner table and people laughing. Like there's something, the fuse has been lit within you.
Sometimes I think it's really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most ridiculous addiction out there, but and it's why so many comedians are so messed up. But it's a weird thing. Like, I mean, I remember saying after about, I don't know, when I told my wife that I was going to take it up, and saying to her, we know we don't see much of each other now. Well, now I'm going to be out doing gigs as often as possible. And she said, well, I guess when I have more money. I said, no, when I have less money, because I'm going to be spending money traveling, spending in hotels. And then when you do see me, I'm probably going to be suicidal because I've been booed off stage the night before. And all of this, right? And it's the most ridiculous thing, but all of that is worth it for those killer. Like, can you explain the emotion you felt when you were named Canada's top comic?
Well, one, I couldn't believe it. So it was definitely like a crazy endorphin. I mean, I've never won anything in my life that big. So, I mean, and I was going against comics that were like, they're like 10, like 15-year comics, just like beasts. Right. And so to win that, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I gave Kyle Bottom, who was in the finals. He's from Vancouver as well. Just the biggest hug. And I don't think he wanted to give me a hug because he was like, you can won. But I was like, I just needed to hug something.
That's nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it is one of those jobs that, so you mentioned that obviously you've been watching stand-up specials for years. Like, who were your kind of stand-up icons while you were growing up? And
well, I always tell this story. I mean, I really liked Hannibal Buress. John Doerr had this show called Funny as Hell on HBO, and that's where I watched all my comedy. It'd be like he filmed it at Just for Laughs, so that's how I saw like all the new comics who are kind of like bigger now. Yeah. Like Gerard and Hannibal and like those guys I really like. But I did really like Aziz Ansari when I was younger, and he was the first stand-up I ever saw live in 2012, and Chelsea Peretti opened. And she I had no idea that there were openers, and she just destroyed for 15 minutes. And I was like, holy shit, like, I want to do that. Like, I want to, like, blow away somebody in that opening spot one day. And, like, yeah, so I really like Chelsea Peretti a lot and, like, Hannibal. But, yeah.
That's very cool, because clearly 2 years before starting out, you were already thinking like a comedian, because that's exactly a comedian's kind of thought. Like, it's not like, I want to be the headliner. It's like, no, I want to be the person that goes out and blows that person off the stage, right? It's such a...
You like every comedian, but there's this weird thing where you're like, I want to bury them, It's an totally unhealthy thing, but it's I don't know why.
Well, it's weird that we feel guilty about that when in no other sport, like a boxer doesn't get in the ring and go, oh, I really want the other guy to win, or football match or race or any sport, people go in to win. And I guess with stand-up, it's not that you necessarily, no one wants other people to bomb, but we all want to push ourselves to be the best. And and to do the best we can do, and it's weird when it's like, I mean, it's a fine line between that and becoming competitive, but it's
what I equate stand up to is being a professional bowler. Okay. I think it's the same thing as being a professional bowler, because I think everybody who's a professional bowler is like, well, there's not a lot of other professional bowlers. But you do want to, you just want to get 10 strikes in a row, and you want the other person to get a gutter ball. And then also the people that come out to stand-up shows, like a lot, they're just people like there are a lot of comedy fans, but there's a lot of people who are just going out there as a thing to do. So it's almost like how I would just go bowling. That's how I always think about it. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's always a thing I've thought of.
It does. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, and it's that weird thing where people, because bowling's like an activity, like you said, it's a fun activity. I mean, a perfect example is if we're out, like if I'm doing a show and people I know arrive at the place, for them this is their big fun night out, and hey, let's hang out, let's blah, blah. And you're like, well, actually, I'm about to do the thing I care most about in the world. And I kind of want to focus on that, and I'm about to, and yet to them it's the most, this is their party night, and yet this is our work time.
Yeah, you know what, that's so funny, is whenever somebody comes out to a show, and then they want to talk to me after, I don't even want to do that. Like, I have bailed on so many people post shows just because I'm like, I can't go out and like talk. I don't want to be around people after. I don't want to be around people before. Like, I don't, I just want to sit in the back. I'll wait for the next show kind of thing. But people are like, wow, and they want to talk, and it's weird that I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I tell you what, Seinfeld put it really nicely in that new Netflix thing. He talks, because Seinfeld has a similar kind of thing where, I mean, all of us, you know, like, it's a weird dichotomy where we're all comfortable on stage, but most comedians aren't that comfortable in social situations. I mean, I will look forward to doing a gig in front of 3,000 people, but if my wife tells me I'm going to a dinner party with 6 couples I don't know, I will not only shit myself, but I'll also pick a fight so I can get out of going, and I'll start getting anxiety about it. And Seinfeld did this line, which I thought just summed up what that thing that we all go through, which is, he said, I can talk to all of you, but I can't talk to any of you. And I just think that's pretty much it. But also, I mean, professionally, it's like we love this craft. Like, as you say, you want to stay and watch the next show. You want to, I mean, it's even worse when people come up to you, you come off stage and they want to talk to you and there's another comedian up. And you're like, and you're wanting to scream in their face, like, show respect to, you know, but I think it's...
That's that I do like talking to people, and I'm going to be friendly to the beautiful, lovely people of New Brunswick.
Yeah, I saw your dawning realization there, where you're like, hang on, this isn't just a chat, this is an interview, this is being filmed, and this is going to be used to promote the show. Everyone's going to be avoiding giving me this wide berth because they think I'm the least friendly guy ever.
Nobody's talk to me, nobody's going to bring me a blanket. I was like, fuck, what did I just do that for?
Why did I've never been to this province before. In my first interview with New Brunswick, and I'm telling them that I hate talking to people and I hate people coming up and speaking. But no, I completely know what you mean. And all of it, for the people watching the presumably heavily edited version of this, will understand that what it all boils down to is wanting to give people the best possible show. You know, when we go out in the evening, everyone else is going out to laugh at a comedy show and to drink and to party. We're going out to make people fall off their chairs laughing, and we're not going to be happy unless we reach that ridiculously high standard that we set for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Attention.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I got 6. I think I'm booked for 6 30-minute sets out there, and they're going to be all very fun. So
yeah, and they are super fun. I mean, and the great thing about it's partly why I moved here and why I stay here is that you know, people love stand-up comedy here, and there's a huge appreciation for it as an art form. There's a huge love for comedians coming in. You know, they want to bring blankets unless they've heard them, you know, seen them on the internet talking about how much they hate.
Fuck me.
Fuck you, New Brunswick. And there's a huge and the great thing about these, and of course, I mean, the festival, I like a lot of festivals in Canada, it's extremely well organised. But the dream of it is, like, you know, you come off stage and then you're ushered in the car and you're taken somewhere, and I mean, I'm doing it next year as well, and I did it 2 years ago, and it was just a blast. You know, there's just every room is perfect, every room is packed. You know, and as you know, I mean, there's nothing more fun than coming off stage and you've got the buzz on, and then suddenly like going, oh, I can do that again. I've got to do that again in 15 minutes to a whole different set of people. Like, that's the dream.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm excited.
It's cool. And so, anything else that you'd like to kind of share? Like, tell the people of New Brunswick what they can expect from your shows and why they should come and see.
Oh, okay. Why to come and see me is probably the hardest question in the world to convince people. But I don't know. I think I'm in a really good place with my stand-up right now, where I think I'm better than I was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and I think every show will be different. You could come to every show. I think it'll be different for me, and I mean, and for you. And I think it'll be just, I'm gonna have fun sets. I like my material right now, so it'll be a good time. I don't know what else to add really, but I mean, I like my material. I'm gonna have fun. Never been there before, so it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a lot of adapting. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. 6 of them, 6 sets, 30 minutes.
That's it, and that's the nice thing is in the 30-minute thing. It's such a nice length of time. Like it's not 40, it's not 20.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's a good pocket to like be present and also do material, I find.
Yeah, I agree. It's like taking, you can basically take your headline set and shave out anything that isn't, banging. And then so you got like it's like the tightest headline set ever.
I just cut out all the announcements I do. I cut out all my plugs. I don't say tip the wait staff in the 30-minute set. So
Yeah.
So you guys are going to remember to tip the wait staff because I'm not going to say it. I don't have enough time. I don't have 45 minutes to talk about the wait staff. Wow, the servers are great tonight.
Yeah,
So,
no one's going to be giving up anything for any hosts. That's all out the window.
Up for all the comedians you saw tonight.
It's true. Let me see. There's one more. And can you tell me, like when? So you mentioned that you're obviously into comedy, and then there was that kind of dawning realization of open mic gigs. When did you kind of first realize that you were funny? Like, was there something that happened? Like when you were young, did you make your family laugh, your friends laugh? Were you that kid, or were you someone that took?
Well, I always wanted to be the center of attention. And I was kind of grew up in like a sports community, and it's hard to be the center of attention when you're not good at sports, but you can be like, the funny guy on the team or whatever, So, but I don't know if there's like a particular moment that stands out. I don't know, but
that in itself is quite beautiful. That you're in this heavily sports-driven community, and you want to be like ta-da, but that ta-da doesn't go down well around sports people.
Yeah, it's weird being like I wanted to be like the guy, but I don't know. I just think I used to just I don't even have an answer. I should figure out an answer because I'm sure I'm going to be asked that again.
No, it's
a story.
but I guess the interesting thing is that that when you did that first open mic gig, something obviously clicked in you. You obviously did well, and then that evolved, and obviously you evolved quickly. Like there was obviously something just right in your life to start at that age. And then progress so quickly and become so strong so quickly. Like there was obviously, I mean, granted, obviously a huge amount of that was going to be down to the work ethic. And I know Vancouver's got an amazing scene. Like I guess you can gig quite a few nights a week and get stage time when you need it.
But you know what? I think it was maybe I just like, I got like a laugh on my first set, and then I didn't really start with anybody. Like I didn't, like usually when a comic starts, they have that friend, and then they progress like together.
Yeah.
But I didn't like really have anybody. Like everybody that I wanted to be like, hang out with was always ahead of me. Right. So I felt like I had to work like 3 times as hard to like get onto a level where I was with everybody else. Because I even from when I started and like started to meet people, like I felt like I was really far behind.
Right.
So I think that just pushed me so that I would be able to have like, those sweet hangs with like comics where you're like, that's actually the most fun part of it is the hangs with the comics after I tell everybody that I hate people. So I think I worked hard for that, to kind of make friends in the community. Nobody wants to be friends with an unfunny comic.
No, that's just true. And also, I mean, it is one of those things where, there's all these stages in stand-up, and it's like if you want to be on the bills with those people, as you say, you want to be on a par with them. You have to work harder for it. I mean, the comedy scene in England kind of works different, but one of the things that happens is you kind of end up being like the best comic on the open mic show, and you feel like you've hit a benchmark or you've hit this kind of landmark. But then suddenly you go and perform on a professional show, and you're like by far the shittest. And it's like it's constantly trying to kind of get up to that next level. So the fact that you're surrounding yourself with talented people is a very smart and driven thing to do.
I think I always try to position myself to follow somebody that will make me worry.
Yes, I agree.
Like I remember this one like pro-am night, Will Sasso dropped into the comedy mix. to do a character, and I asked the manager if I could follow him, and I just like, and he destroyed, and then I was like, why did I say that? And then I went up and I had like a immediate, like a set, but then he was like, oh, I like that joke you did, and that was pretty early. That was like, I was maybe a year in. So amazing. I think like, I don't know, just stuff like that, just being like, I want to go after Sophie Buttle or, Kyle Bottom or Chris James.
Yeah.
Ivan Decker.
It's a very, very smart thing to do. In every job, we all want to aspire to be better, and there's no point. I mean, it's like that theory of like, I've had some comedians say to me that they deliberately book, not great opening acts so that they look better. But I would rather book an opening act that is going to tear the roof off so that I'm in the wings going, shit, I've got to get my A game in gear. And also, the other weird thing about booking a shitty opening act to make yourself look better is the audience came out to see a full show. Give your people the best, right?
Yeah, I think if you have a shitty opening act, it makes you look worse.
I agree.
Well, it's like that story that Chris Rock tells about how like Martin Lawrence opened for him, and Martin Lawrence just like destroyed, and then Chris Rock couldn't follow him, and he was like 20 minutes into his set still talking about Martin Lawrence. His set, and he was like just not prepared. I mean, I always think about that because I'm like, oh, you should always be prepared and ready to bring it.
Yeah,
I guess, which is a weird thing to be like, I'm going to bring it in stand up because it is not a sport. It is kind of like an art,
but it's both. It's one of the most it's the only sport in the world, or it's the only art form in the world where we have to go up on stage and practice every night in front of strangers. Like no guitar player ever was on stage in front of an audience for their first guitar lesson. No painter ever sat on stage showing you their unfinished work. Like, we're the only people that have to go out there and project our unfinished stuff before it's but that's why there's such a bond amongst comedians.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice. Well, all I can say is New Brunswick is excited to have you. Moncton is going to love you, and you're going to have blankets thrown on you. And if anything, everyone hearing how much you hate talking to people, they're going to try and turn you. So if anything, I think you've just cursed yourself with more people talking to you than less. I meant to. It was reverse psychology. Yeah, that's how we roll there. And do you mind just doing a very quick thing to camera, just saying, hi, come and see me at Hubcap. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Just some bullshit like that. Is that right? Yeah, sure. Okay. Hey, Moncton. I'm going to be at the Hubcap Festival. James told me that I'm the Comedian of the Year, so you guys should come see those shows. I got 6 sets, 30-minute sets. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to come. Bring blankets, and don't talk to me. That is awesome, mate. Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for accommodating this, and I look forward to seeing you in February. I'll see you in February. Nice one. Have a good day, man. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.